So even though I am a little under the weather today, there is a couple of shows that I wanted to make sure I got videos out on, and MMO Junkie is definitely one of them. And this was a overall fairly enjoyable episode. There was a couple of aspects that didn't make me as immersed as past episodes, but at the core I felt like once again this was another fairly solid episode. And I could understand if some people are saying, you know, why are they so bent on just not revealing who they are, when obviously if they would just reveal all this information, they would easily have a relationship. Of course, us the viewer are gonna have the entire picture. We're gonna be able to see everything from all the different characters' perspectives, so it's easy for us to say, well, of course Sakurai should just tell Mori that he is in fact the girl that she's been playing with, and then everything would just be peachy between them. When you look at it just from Sakurai's perspective, it's completely understandable why he's trying to keep it a secret, because from his point of view, it seems like she doesn't like him. It feels like Mori, from his point of view, actually likes his friend, so of course he's trying to stay out of it, but of course he has feelings for Mori within the game, and he's seeing that's kind of crossing paths between the two of them, but he doesn't understand the full picture, and of course none of them do. Us, the viewer, we will. So it's easy for us to feel like, oh, it's annoying all these characters aren't interacting the way they should, but we have the full picture, they don't. And I thought it's kind of interesting because it seems like Sakurai just feels like he's trying to keep his personal life and game life completely separate. That was the entire point of making a different character, a female character, so he could just be someone else and not have to have his lives kind of cross between one another. And it's very interesting that now everything's kind of getting flipped upside down, where everything is essentially crossing even though he's trying to prevent it. And of course you can see how he's feeling. But what's kind of, it's very, in a lot of ways, cliche. You see this a lot where it's like, oh, and back in the day, they also knew each other in this different video game, which I'm sure some people might not be okay with the fact that Mori and Sakurai did know each other in the past MMO, but personally, I'm fine with it because it is anime. We're allowed to have those more kind of like fairy tale-esque things where it's like, oh, and they also knew each other back in the day, and I'm fine with that. It's not like they abuse those types of tropes, so having them actually know one another back in the day, and they both played the gender that they are, it's perfectly fine in my opinion, and I thought it was a little cute to see how it kind of tied in the past. It's a very like 1 in a million situation, like them running into each other on the street, but still I found that to be perfectly fine. But the core content of this episode was really just having each other kind of like play their own gender essentially, because Sakurai obviously made a new male character. He's going to be playing with his friend, and Mori knows that as well, so it's going to be interesting how the series would go forward, because obviously they're going to switch between accounts, the ones that they have been playing with and also their new gender accounts, and obviously we won't see all of this get resolved within the next 3 episodes before the season ends. And will we ever get a second season? Probably not, but you never know. I did see some people say like, what's the big deal that they're playing a female when they're a male? And for a lot of people in modern gaming culture, that isn't looked down upon, but different cultures are going to have, you know, different opinions on that. Be like, you're a guy and you're playing a girl, or you're a girl and you're playing a guy, what's wrong with you? That used to be a thing. That used to have stigma around it. And of course, Japan is much different than other countries, so that I got explained last week that apparently if you're 25 and single in Japan, that's considered like old and just not worthy anymore. So Japan's a different culture than around here. So it makes sense that they are so kind of bound of not revealing that information, because some people would look down upon it, especially, oh, you're a grown man, you're playing a female character in an MMO, what's wrong with you? Are you sick, perverted bastard? That happens. But I did find it kind of interesting and very funny. Sakurai, when he's playing his female character, he's very much like in the moment of kind of like all these costumes and clothing and accessory, and I found it kind of cute and funny. For once, we see an anime where we have this kind of like fashion show where you have the pretty character kind of showing off her clothing, but it's actually Sakurai doing it and he's kind of getting flustered. I just found that to be funny because it's flipping what we typically see, and that made it very charming to me. But at the core, it was just seeing all the characters come together in the MMO, but now with some new accounts, and then you see Sakurai's friend have the most manly man female character ever, and it just looks identical to him if he was trying to like play a female. It was just perfect overall. I feel like they're trying to refresh the cast a little bit, making them have a different account, also bringing in a new character. It does feel a little weird that the cashier from the store recognized who he was. I found that to be a little like, okay, how is he able to immediately figure that out? Unless the game characters do look nearly identical to the actual anime, because of course for us, we're looking at them in the game and then looking at them in real life, and it looks the same aesthetically, so maybe this MMO just has really realistic graphics for it, so maybe that's how we kind of pinpointed that, oh, that's Sakurai's friend, because it looks nearly identical to him, just now he has boobs. So it was a little weird for me in that aspect, but at the core, like, this wasn't my favorite episode of MMO Junkie, but it was still really fun just because they did have a lot of really funny moments to it, but also some charming moments, and of course, I understand where characters like Sakurai are coming from, not wanting to reveal this, and just trying to keep his MMO life separate from his real life, but of course, course that's almost impossible for him, because the person that he's seemingly having affection for in his real life is his best friend within this MMO. But of course that's seemingly starting to get harder and harder, and it's only ever going to get worse for him once he starts playing the male character, and eventually I feel like she might clue into the fact that she knew him back in the day just based on the new male character that he made, but we'll see where it goes. But overall, this wasn't my favorite episode, but it was still a very enjoyable episode. It really did crack me up with the new twist with bringing in the other friend there and having new characters. It was just a fun episode overall, and I thought it had a lot of charming moments to it. But let me know your thoughts. What did you think of the episode, and how do you think next week's episode is going to go down now that Sakurai has made a new character? How do you think all the interactions are going to play out next week? Let me know your thoughts, and before you leave, smack that like button, show your support. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.